Hi everyone, my name is Iben and welcome to another episode of the Road to Planet Zoo 2. In the past few videos we talked about the obvious features: aquariums, aviaries, scaling, new pathing system, but there's a whole bunch of other features that I would really love to see in the sequel, and in today's video we're going to talk about one of them. That feature is playgrounds. Before we can talk about playgrounds in the sequel, we might want to talk about why we never got these in the first game or in Planet Coaster 1. One of the biggest hurdles that we faced in the Planet series is that the guests were not ungroupable. Once a guests group arrives in the park, they are not able to split up and each do their individual things. Guests will sit on a bench as a group, they will interact with a vending machine as a group, and even with the cool new education items in Planet Zoo, they would also always interact with it as a group. The parents would stand back while the kids would interact with this education item. And one funny thing is, if the group had more than 2 children, then at least one of the children was left behind and could never interact with the education item. So this is something that wouldn't work for playgrounds. In a playground setting, the adults would simply hang back on benches or on picnic tables, whilst their kids would play on the playground with everything that's there. And that makes it kind of impossible to create realistic feeling playgrounds in the Planet series. But then came the Barnyard Pack, and everything got turned around. And with the petting zoo mechanic, the guests in the Planet series for the very first time became ungroupable. If a group of guests enters a habitat that is functional with the petting mechanic, the guests will walk up to one of the hand sanitizer stations, and from that point onwards, they are able to split up and each do their own thing. Once they've all done what they wanted to do, being exploring the habitat or interacting with one of the animals, they'll all come back to that hand sanitizing station once again, and from that point onwards, they move as a group again. Now, whilst this feature first appeared to us as players in Planet Zoo, I think it's kind of obvious that this feature actually originates from Planet Coaster 2, as it's an important aspect of the swimming pools. As you can see, we have the exact same mechanism once again. The guests will walk up to a specific point, in this case it is a changing room, and from that changing room onwards, the guests are able to split up. And one of the cool things about the Planet Coaster 2 implementation is that you can actually see the group itself by navigating at the top. You can actually move from one guest to the other. But as long as they're doing their own thing, going on slides, swimming in the pool, the guests remain separate. Once they go back to the changing room, they're a group again. So what we can distill from this is as follows. A group of guests need to move to a specific point. In Planet Zoo, that's the hand sanitizing station. In Planet Coaster 2, that's the changing rooms. From that point onwards, something changes. A boolean goes from this is a group to you're able to do things on your own, and from that moment on, guests are able to do whatever they want. Once they want to regroup, they'll all move to the point again, to the hand sanitizing stations in Planet Zoo, the changing rooms in Planet Coaster 2, and from then onwards, they basically form a group again. And this is something that we have to keep in mind when we're thinking about a playground implementation. This kind of system will most likely be necessary as well. However, it's always possible that Frontier decides to do it differently, but as far as we know from our speculation standpoint, we probably need to go by what they have right now. So now that we know that the biggest hurdle has been crossed, we can think about how this could be implemented in Planet Zoo 2. One of the major things that needs to happen is playgrounds need to be customizable. There are a whole bunch of different kinds of playgrounds in Zoo. You have playgrounds that basically consist of one big element and maybe some side elements. You've got smaller playgrounds that consist of some individual smaller playground elements. And then you have these big ones, the ones that have a whole bunch of different elements all across a big yard. On top of that, playgrounds need to work with adult guests, because that's where we link up back to what we talked about earlier. It wouldn't make sense if there were groups of guests that went to each individual playground element of a playground. No, instead, the adult guests should go and sit on a bench or a picnic table, and their kids should just walk around and play in the playground as much as they want. So these are two things that we really have to keep in mind. We want to have the customizability of being able to place down a whole bunch of elements and link them up together, and we want the adult guests to be able to sit on benches and picnic tables that are nearby the playground. Using Mealy's blueprints, I decided to set up a little demo of what I would like to see as a playground system in Planet Zoo 2. So just like the gift shops, I want to be able to place down individual pieces like this climbing frame here or this merry-go-round, and I just want to link them all up together so that they become one big playground and that kids can decide which items they use. Just like the gift shop today, guests will randomly pick individual cabinets. They won't visit all of them, they will just go from one to another, skip one, go to another. So I would like that system to be reused here as well. As I mentioned earlier, I also want parents to sit down on benches or picnic tables. So again, I also want to be able to link up individual benches to an entire playground so that the guest groups can enter, the kids can go play on the playgrounds, and that the parents can go and sit down on these benches. As we talked earlier, we need some point where the guests can go to and then ungroup, like the hand sanitizing stations or the changing rooms in Planet Coaster 2. So we'll need that system again here. And I have something that I really want and something that I think Frontier is going to implement. I would really love to have this kind of sign. Something simple, just a sign with the playground rules, something that you can easily hide, something that you can easily customize, that the group can go to and split up from here and go back to. But going by how they've done things in the past, I think it's much more reasonable to assume that we're going to end up with something big, like an arch like this, where guests will need to come to go past and interact with the playground. I really want something small and simple like playground rules. I'm really expecting something big like this arch. And that's what I have to say about playgrounds. Let me know in the comments if you like this concept, if you would like to see these things at launch or in a free update. Like, subscribe to everything you want, and see you in the next video. Bye!